everyone. Daniel Arizon with Jess Friday here, and we are back to talk about our organizations, but we're centering the conversation around jobs this week. Like our experience with what's wrong with the work culture, with employment in general, that type of thing. I'm going to go ahead and ask some pointed questions to Jess first to talk about her experience because last week we talked about how you've never been officially employed before in your life.
I would say I have never worked a regular job.
Okay. But as a teenager during the summer, did you do did you start off with a lemonade stand or
I've done all sorts of entrepreneurial pursuits
okay.
and odd things in freelancing, but as far as what I think most people would call employment, no.
Okay. Have you ever had to employ someone else?
Yes, not had to, but had the privilege to employ other people, yes.
Okay. Since that's maybe your most strong reference, how did that go? Like your first time compared to having more experience doing that? How was that experience?
It's a bit complex because I wasn't the only person in the company, so I didn't have control over the employee's complete experience. And I would say that if I had to go back and do it again, I would have asked for control in that, more control over that experience because I don't think it was handled properly. I was always really concerned about how people are treated, creating a work environment that gives people purpose and allows them to pursue their interests and their joys and their individual ways they're able to best make contributions to our overall goal and mission.
And do do you feel like you're I guess specifically how did you feel about being able to communicate what's required for the job to the person that you were trying to get to do certain things? Did you do I me personally the first time I tried to basically boss somebody around, I realized my communication wasn't very good. And I find this in companies in general that they have people have a tough time being specific as to what they want other people to do for them, and then you, communicating that they have also done that thing that they asked them to do. Did do you have any stories around that?
Yeah, like just that bossing people around
Yeah.
is completely the opposite of how I would approach leadership,
Right.
which is as a servant and not as a manager.
I say that tongue in cheek, but specifically, I guess what I'm asking is how do you feel your communication has gotten better compared to the first time to maybe the last time you tried to keep
Let's
people
just
the
say if I had
steps?
it to do over again,
Yeah.
I feel like I would do it a much better. Yeah, there's so much responsibility and stewardship that goes into a position of directing people in a complex system and creating an environment where they can be their best and feel their best. And it's such a big area, and I really have a limited experience in that and tons to learn for sure.
So what I find that in most companies that I've been associated with, I feel like they're maybe 10 or 20 years behind like normal businesses a lot of times. Like they don't want to spend the money to update systems or things like that. And then a lot of times you get in there and you're not it's not very clear what you're supposed to do
Oh,
specifically either.
yeah.
And they have a kind of laissez-faire kind of attitude. Oh yeah, you'll just get it. Just talk to people and ask them if they need help, and you'll get it. Instead of having a concrete like these are the steps, how we you day one, this is what you'll be responsible in learning or doing or anything like that. They have a
Right. SOPs, workflows, having that in place. I
right,
remember back when we were doing this, the manufacturing startup, there's something called Kaizen,
right. I've
which is
heard.
a system of constant improvement, and it's very organized, gives people visual cues, makes everything a well-oiled machine. And from what I understand, there are only a very small percentage of companies that do that. There's a company on the YouTube, though, if you search for Kaizen, it walks through how they do everything. They have like daily stand-ups where everybody from the company gets to stand up and has the opportunity to be heard. They have the opportunity for their ideas to contribute to the system, and that's, as soon as I found out about that, that's really what I aspired to do once I had a company of the size to implement that.
Yeah. And I appreciate, yeah, some companies do it better than others, obviously, but for the most part, I would say there's a general business kind of category where it's so relaxed that people don't even know what they're supposed to be doing on a day to day basis because nobody will tell them. And so I don't know, in that, sometimes there's a lot of, instead of like clear instructions, clear action steps, there's a lot of like social manipulation to try to get certain outcomes. It's kind of like the default. Like we couldn't be well.
Sorry.
That's right. So it's like we couldn't be clear with our employees, so instead we're using social manipulation. And so it becomes very clear in a lot of businesses you're going to work here for the money, and there's probably no opportunities for you to do better, but we'll promise certain opportunities if you work really hard, but it's like an empty promise. Very, oh yeah, if you work hard, you could be like the manager someday. It's not like I'm taking actual steps to be a manager. It's like some kind of like ethereal, like
Vague
vague
promise.
promise. Oh yeah, I just need to work harder. And there's a lot of it goes on where it's so how long do you think you'll get a raise, for instance? You could be like after a year it'd be like, "Oh yeah, I got a 20-cent raise." And then you're like calculating that in your head. Oh, if I was here years at 20 cents a year, what is that going to be? Like, is that really worth me spending 10 years of my life at this company to be like, I could be a manager someday? There's a promise, like, you could be a manager someday or things like that. But it's, meanwhile, you're getting 20 cents a year as a raise or 30 cents a year. And managers
With
are,
no
yeah,
guarantee
no guarantee. And
of
managers are always saying, "Oh, yeah, it's a real privilege to work here because what we do is just so great." It's like gaslighting all the time. Oh,
that
yes,
doesn't sound
there's a
nice.
lot of people looking for jobs, and you found one, and we just have a great environment here, and just these gaslighting things that managers do, basically like promoting the company, but
I
without.
wonder why are they such, is the, what's the term, bootlickers for the company? Because if they act that way, they feel like they're more likely to get a promotion. What? Because I've heard that before, and it makes me think of Office Space,
Right.
with the guy constantly hanging over
Hmm.
people, the white shirt guy, the manager guy,
Right.
and then they talk about they're proud about the company, but I don't know if the company does anything meaningful even.
I feel like that is a common trope, and Office Space captured it very well. And then they finally, those guys who interview him, and he's like truthful, and I don't really care. I'm just here for a paycheck, and they're like, it's so refreshing to hear some honesty that they're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Could you explain that better to us? I
Now,
think.
can you tell me, like, if you're like the Office Space main character
Mm-hmm.
and you are authentic,
Mm-hmm.
is that something that will actually get you seen and heard sooner than just towing the line? Because I have heard of real life instances of that. where people that do disruptive things, actually, that's the way they get the attention of upper management. Is there any truth to that? Or like I know maybe it's a rarity, but I know it has happened.
Heard of Robert Greene and the like 27 steps to power or something like that, or
The 48 laws of
yeah,
power?
48 laws of
Yeah.
power, right?
Yeah.
Robert Greene.
Uh-huh.
And so I think it really comes down to if people like you or not. And so there's a lot of
Bad
yes.
news for autistics. Sorry, y'all.
So there's a lot of things that you do just to be likable in a situation. So if you're disruptive in that and you're likable, then yes, you can move up. You can get attention. I think the number one thing is to be likable, and everything else is second. So if you're
Yeah, not every, but that's a skill that not
yeah,
everyone has,
right,
right?
right.
And it depends, like your likability depends on the culture that you're in.
But there's certain laws like he lists in the book, like one that comes to mind is like never outshine the master. And so what he's saying is you don't take credit for yourself when you're like working for somebody else. You say,
Mhm.
"Oh, we got this done because of Tom's leadership. His leadership really helped me to get the team on board and get this done." Always push up the so there's those kind of things that help you to be more likable, and then you have opportunities to better the company and things like that.
So is this 48 Laws of Power like a how to survive your regular job manual?
Sometimes, yes. How to
Good
how to
to
survive in
know.
an organization, because he was in the film industry and he
Oh
experienced it
wow, I've
himself.
heard that's a
Yes.
wild industry to be in.
Yeah. And his the first one that he broke was the outshine the man. So he did a great job according to him, but he's a smart guy. He did a great job and he got fired ultimately. And he was back reflecting like how can I do a great job and still get fired?
That
And
would have my head spinning.
right.
Yeah.
And so that's what he came up with, the 48 laws of power, because he looked in history and he looked at how people are. So I'm very much, oh yeah, you do your job, you have a good attitude, and, you're going to go far, that type of thing. And then you find out there's all these secret things you didn't know you didn't know about. But ultimately, a lot of organizations don't write it down and don't make it clear for employees what they need to do to be successful or what they need to do a great job.
So like the rules are unspoken and
Right.
unwritten, so it's guess culture.
It's guesswork, yeah. And then
You
that's when
know the
those.
difference between ask culture and guess culture.
Sure, I
Yeah, have
don't.
you heard of this?
No, I don't know what ask culture is.
Ask culture and guess culture, there was a viral note that went around years ago where somebody basically said there are two cultures. There's ask culture and there's guess culture. And depending on which culture, usually you don't know which culture you're in until you offend somebody. Because there is just say like you're married even.
Mm-hmm.
Two married people might be in different cultures. So if your wife gets mad at you because she expects some sort of gift when you do something, that's guess culture, right?
Mm.
You're supposed to guess what she wants and anticipate her needs and provide it for her, like flowers or whatever. Whereas then the ask culture is if someone if she says, "Hey, I really like it when I get flowers for whatever this event. Can you please get me flowers when that comes up?" In some cultures, being that direct would be like a no-no, like that takes all the romance out of it. But I would say that autistic culture is the ask culture. Just be direct and ask, be direct and tell what you need up front rather than having people guess.
fascinating because as a male, I tend to think that males are not in the guest culture because we're oblivious half the time. It feels, and
I'm
I
in this. I'm male then. Because
maybe,
I
but
have so many people.
we don't get hints
I
sometimes.
don't.
It's
Yeah, I
like,
don't know.
no, I've had relationships where it's, I hinted this to you and I did not get a hint. I'm sorry. You gotta tell me, with some instructions because I'm not gonna. And I feel that from some guys, but some guys from like history do get on like the program to be like, oh, okay, for anniversary, I need to get her flowers, or she'll be upset, or I need to get her a gift for her birthday, and they get on the program. But I don't feel like it's like natural to most guys. It's more like they have to figure it out and put it on their
Hmm.
calendar, type of thing. Be more specific. So to find out that you aren't good with guest culture either. Okay.
No, I think it's an autistic thing too. Or I wonder how many of us are just better at understanding the cultural norms and playing along with them. How much of that is just people who intuitively get that and play along versus people who just don't get it and so they're not incentivized to play along with this cultural thing. And in many, a business is its own culture. So it makes sense it has its own sort of unspoken rules that some people are going to be better at understanding and other people are going to be completely oblivious to.
Yeah. Specifically how it applies to jobs. Like many companies I've seen have a employee portal and you're supposed to go there and see like where you're ranked in the company and
Oh,
how to yeah,
I'm
how
offended at
to
the thought of ranking people.
you don't like it, but
That
you see where your positioned is, and then you're able
But
to.
like, that's what if you're at the bottom? How about that?
Well,
Like the least
nobody's
valuable
supposed to be on the
person
bottom. You're more like
in the
ranked
company.
with your group. If you're all on, like you're all level one, for instance. There's no, they don't really do a rank of like you're 56 person. They do a rank of you're in department one or you're level one em,
Oh, so it's like
employee.
leveling up like a video game. So
Kind
you
of.
start, you're level one, you're a noob.
Right.
Everybody knows you're a noob, more
You're
along
a
that
level
line.
one associate or something like that with all
Okay, so
the
you
other
just
level one
try,
associates.
you're,
They don't
okay.
rank you like you're the 56th, the level one associates. But I honestly think they should, but keep it completely un, secret so only you will know what your rank is for the company. I think it should be completely secret to like give you a special code or something so you can see
Oh,
and be able to make
but what
any.
are they ranking people on? That still sounds horrific. Like it feels like it's putting a number on human value.
Yeah, I mean there's certain there's certain things that you can do to put the value on. In my experience, what they would rank me on is they would do evaluations and they would have your other coworkers evaluate like your interactions together. And it would be anything like, do you find when you ask him to get a certain project done that he's efficient and on time, and you would have like from 1 to 10, and then you would be able yeah.
This is absolutely horrific to me
Okay.
because to me, this is not a that person problem. This is a what's going on in that person's life.
Right.
Why they're not so their performance goes down or whatever. Like people will
Well,
notice if
but
something's
if you're
not
not
happening.
measuring it, you can't. A
You,
lot of times you don't know something's happening in their life either. You can't say, "Oh, your performance is down. Let's talk about it." Too.
I reckon my point is why aren't we asking why is instead of doing these evaluations and stuff, why aren't we people will notice if someone's not doing as well without even putting any numbers or metrics or whatever on it, why don't we ask this person, hey, what's going on? Can we help? I noticed this and this happened. What can we do for, how can
Oh
we
yeah,
support you?
yeah.
Not, we're going to evaluate you and give you a 2 out of 10 here, and then not find out what's going on in that person's life that
Ab-
might correlate.
Absolutely. And but that is going to happen regardless. It depends on how your management structure is. It's your management structure of like how do we help people and coach them to be better, or how do we set up punitive measures. A lot of times management structure is already punitive no matter how they measure it. You know what I'm saying? So the
Yeah.
measuring it is not usually the catalyst for that bad behavior. It's more of how they approach it, whether they're giving them evaluations or not. It should always be a coaching. A good company is always a coaching. Like, how do we help you? How do we make you better?
Not
How they're
punitive,
measuring it,
not like a
right?
prison.
I'm just saying that yeah, there's evaluations and rankings in some companies, but my point is like you go to the employee portal in most companies to look at where your ranking is, or like it's supposed to show you like what kind of things you can do, like educations or training videos you could participate in to get to a higher level, for instance. And a lot of times you go to these employee portals in like most companies and it's completely blank. And like, it's there in theory, but they don't use it to any
Tick in a
extent.
box.
Yeah,
Tick in a box.
right.
So many things programs we try to implement to make things better, and then they don't actually
No one uses it, or
provide value for people.
right,
Right.
or hat. Yeah, there's no actual path to actually use that employee portal, unfortunately. So then, no.
No, look, this is okay. I've heard from people that working in a co-op, a cooperative, was like the best job experience of people's lives.
Mhm.
What was your best job experience, would you say? And was there anything, what would you attribute that to?
It's always the same. It's always the people are great. The job sucks.
Oh, I've heard that a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
people are always great. The job sucks. So there's been jobs where I worked in a call center and we all sat at night and we all sat around and BS'd and had a great time, and then took a couple of calls all through the night, and then people would be on the phone and be like, stuff like that, taking a call. And it's
Or someone
hilarious.
was being difficult.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and then or one time they had for me they had let us know that we were being laid off, and one of the last day that I took calls, I was using voices to answer my calls, like voices, like a southern
Oh, you were
voice.
doing different
Yeah,
Daniel accents.
yes. So I
Daniel
mean,
voice actor.
so that kind of stuff is fun, but it's always the job is. I've always enjoyed working for myself more than working for anybody else, for sure. So, but yeah, it's always the people though. People are always great to be around, and you get in a job, you get a lot of camaraderie and get to know people and things like that. And you can't beat any type of social interactions, but usually the thing that you're galvanizing on is not having a boss there to specifically watch over you. Those are always the when you have the most, you're free to make friends, and
So you never had a boss that was like part of the
I
like company community per se?
I've had no I've had bosses, but like for the jobs that were most, like I said, get the camaraderie and the group feel, like the boss was not like presently there like every moment like looking at you or whatever. They were more like taking care of other things and then come in and check on us. How's everybody doing? Is there any problem? Or you'd raise your hand and they would come from the back answer your question or something like that. They weren't like those micromanaging bosses, like trying to make sure you're doing everything
Right, but
right.
they didn't do anything with you or help you directly either. They weren't directly a
They
part
would
of the.
have like they would have coachings. So yeah, there would be like, oh, you're scheduled for coaching. Let's listen to a call and stuff like that. That's what happens at a call center. So yeah, there is, but it's not. It's very low pressure. So
Okay.
I'm just saying, when you have that kind of environment, it's easy to make friends and talk to other people and things like that.
When there's not pressure. So in
Yeah.
a high pressure work environment, does it even people in the same department against one another?
No, it just you're more focused on doing your job and leaving for the rest of the day because it goes so
You don't
fast.
really get to know them?
Yeah, you don't get to know people
Okay.
when it's that busy. So that's why I like. That's one of the reasons I like working at night. And when I say 9, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., like the actual graveyard shift.
Okay.
And so then those were great because a lot of downtime. You got to like read a book or talk to
Mm.
people and things like that. So
Not great on your circadian rhythm or your long-term health, though, to work the overnight
I
shifts.
you can do it for a time. It was always a lot of fun. So I don't know. I never had a problem with sleeping, so I can always.
Oh, okay.
For me, it's never been a real problem. And right now, I'm not on a good sleep rhythm. I can say honestly, but right, that's fine.
Yeah. A lot of people, like the people I know people I know who have worked night shifts have trouble sleeping during the day, and
Okay.
that's just
Yeah, it's never
horrific.
been an issue with me. But I do have that. I did buy the shield thing for your eye. I have headphones. If I having problems sleeping, I turn on the white noise or whatever. So I still have tips and tricks for sure.
Cool.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk. So one of my theories of the case were if jobs were more clear about what people need to do to be able to succeed, and then how to like either get more money at their job or possibly less money if they're not doing their job, instead of firing people, just have like matrix that are clear on what needs to be done to do a good job. And then because my experience, a lot of times when people get fired, it's very unclear why they got fired, and it's usually, oh, you weren't doing the job. Okay, but the manager was not communicating how to do the job clear that person. So there's a lot of pick a person that can decipher what that manager is saying, and instead of training that person or getting the manager to be more clear about how the job is done. So does that make sense?
Yeah, just that having that clarity would solve so many problems. So, do you think that there's anything about co-ops or social enterprise or non-traditional company structures that makes that easier? Is that just a universal thing that has to be
Well,
solved for each company to
the
make
thing I like about
jobs better?
co-ops is the not decentralized power structure, because like the documentary that you talked about, I think last week, and then I did watch most of it. I haven't
Was
finished it
the
yet.
new economy, the quiet revolution you're not hearing about by Mo Economy on YouTube?
Correct. Um, the fact that there's not a boss structure specifically, I feel like that does give people more freedom to work and be in the groove to work without that pressure of being judged or being pressured to like go faster or something. I can only imagine like at a traditional one, they're like, you need to go faster, where at a co-op, they're like, you're doing a good job, go at your pace. And if you feel like you can go faster, then you go faster. If you need to go slower, you go slower. It feels like that more of that kind of environment in a co-op compared to a traditional where you have that whole boss structure of, oh, you got to get better. We need somebody in here can go 2 seconds faster than you. And there would be that kind of pressure compared to a co-op which wouldn't have that kind of pressure. So in that sense, it's much more healthier. Because stress is the one thing that will lead to your death the fastest is stress. I can only imagine working in a co-op and having that type of team environment and decentralized power. That must be very freeing in that type of
Yeah, from
sense.
what I've heard, a lot of good. I think it doesn't matter the company structure too. You got to have the right leadership in order to use those kinds of methods. I don't know if you've heard of like teal organizations,
Right.
sociocracy, holocracy, team of teams, all sorts of leadership.
I think in any organization, when you have leaders come at it as they're more of a coach to help people be their best rather than you're the manager or you're the boss,
I don't like those words.
right? It doesn't. I think that system is definitely broken. Any boss manager structure of, oh no, you, I tell you what to do type of attitude, I feel like that's broken. And anytime a company comes at it like, we're going to train people to be their best, whatever
That
that
makes sense.
is, and the managers are there to be coaches first and not managers. They're coaches and they're there to help and, like I said, get people to be better. And when you come from that direction, I feel like that is a healthier organization altogether.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, I, so that's our kind of discussion today. I think we're gonna wrap it up. That discussion for today. Again, my organization is AmericanJobsFactory.org, where I'm trying to solve a lot of these problems we talked about today: management structures and business organization. And then just Friday over here, I'm probably pointing the wrong direction when it comes out, but anyway, uh, Ms. Friday here is with, where are we going?
Connectioning,
You
which
go.
is a collaborative media company to help take well-being economies and community wealth mainstream, and which will result in more coach steward led jobs, I think, for everyone.
So,
Those with the
connectioning
territory.
is the
Connectioning.
connectioning. Okay, so check out connectioning, and we will see you again. We'll talk. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. I'm going to have to put my thinking cap on or get a manager somewhere to tell me what to do,
We'll
because
figure it out.
we'll figure it out. Okay, sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you, everyone, and we'll
Thanks
talk
for
to you later.
having me.
Bye.
Cheers.